All right, everybody. Today I'm going to do a breakdown of the Jussie Smollett interview because I think it's such a hilarious interview that I think we should break it down and discuss some of the funnier parts of it. So sit back and enjoy.
Robin Roberts in New York. Musician and actor Jussie Smollett sat down with me for his first interview since that night in Chicago. Smollett told me how he's doing now and responds to those who doubt his account.
I'm pissed off.
What is it that has you so?
All right, let's pause right here. Okay, first of all, we can start out. We can see what Jussie is wearing here. He's got the victimhood badges of all the victim classes that millionaire actor Jussie Smollett, ever since he was about 6 years old, he's been a millionaire actor. But he's the victim here. He's got the gay victim, he's got the black victim, he's got about 6 more victimhood medals here that he's won over the years. So we'll start out with that, okay?
Angry. Is it the attackers?
It's the attackers, but it's also the attacks. It's like...
Okay, so now what he's doing here is he's trying to, he's realized now that he's been caught, and he's trying to make it so that if you even question his story, what he's saying, the attacks, if you even question his story, then you're a bigot. You know, you can't question Jussie here on his 2 a.m. subway munchie. So he's trying to end that right there, but you can see what he's doing, really.
You know, at first it was a thing of like, listen, if I tell the truth, then that's it, because it's the truth.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now let's go over that statement there. If I tell the truth, then that's it. That's the truth. Okay, first of all, obviously that's a retarded thing to say, but second of all, you can tell that he thinks, or when he did this, he never expected any of this backlash. He never expected to have to deal with this. Like the story that he tried to tell is so bad and so stupid. You can tell that he thought he would just say he got attacked. People would believe him. That would be the end of it, and he would be like a hero. You know, he would get a raise. People would be feeling sorry for him because he's the poor gay half-black guy that got jumped and all, you know, he would have been getting all these new jobs and people would have felt so bad for him. And that's what he wanted. He didn't expect all of these questions. So he didn't even have because understandably so in this society, you know, you can see how they try to boost up these people that are doing these fake hate crimes, and they just, he just thought he could get away with it scot-free and there'd be no repercussions at all. He had not thought this through at all. You can tell. Just the whole story is so bogus, you know.
Then it became a thing of like, oh, how can you doubt that? Like, how do you not believe that? It's the truth. And then it became a thing of like, oh, it's not necessarily that you don't believe that this is the truth. You don't even want to see the truth.
What happened that night, Jussie?
When I landed in Chicago, and Frank Gatson, who's like my uncle, and he's also my creative director, and he picked me up, and then...
Okay, pause right there. So he had that guy he's saying, Frank Gatson or whatever his name is, he had him at the apartment, and that was his first, that was a witness that he wanted to be there when he got back to back his story up. He originally didn't want to go to police with this because I think he knew that there's a chance that it could be interrogated and looked at, and they'd figure out it was BS. So what he originally wanted to do was have this guy, Frank Gatson, back at his apartment that he could go back to and say, look what just happened. And then there's 2 people that have the story. But the thing is this guy wasn't in on it, I don't think, and he called the police. And that's what started the whole investigation.
We got back to the apartment. There was no food. And so I went out to Walgreens thinking that they were 24 hours and to have a smoke. Walgreens was closed. So I called him up and I said, hey, I'm going to run to Subway, which was across the street, and I'm going to get a salad. Do you want anything? I went to the Subway.
Okay, so let's think about this from a logical perspective here. You're a multimillionaire. It's 2 a.m., one of the coldest nights of the entire year, freezing cold. You have the option to send out an assistant, to send out your manager, to order in from numerous different places. Uber Eats, skip the dishes, whatever you wanna use. Okay, so say it's 2 a.m. and there's not a lot of options. I can actually understand that because at that time a lot of places are closed, but you could still order from Subway. Subway still is offered in the so, and not only is he going himself, but he's also walking. He didn't choose to drive or be driven. He chose to walk. Okay, so this is, and the thing that's most damning about this to me is the fact that a week or two earlier he had received in the mail from what he said is that death threat letter. They'll mention that later in their interview, but okay, so if you received a death threat in the mail and it was legitimate, and you'd be, obviously anybody would be worried, like scared or semi, worried about it. But so this guy just says, "Oh well, forget about the fact that there's people out there that want to kill me." Just as of last week, I'm just gonna walk outside at 2 a.m. because I'm so desperate for a Subway sandwich or a Subway salad, whatever he wanted. So to me, this is where everything starts. I mean, the whole story is just ludicrous, but this is my breakdown of the intricate kind of details of how easily you can tell that this is BS.
Subway and got the order. During that time, I texted my manager thinking that he was still in Australia because he was on an Australian tour with one of his other clients.
Witness number 2 right here. This is where he mentions he's on the phone with somebody else, so he wanted to have another alibi that said, "Oh, well, listen, he was on the phone and he heard the attack happen through the phone, so there's witness number 2, right?" So he's got all these people that don't know that they're in on it as his potential witnesses.
I say, "Yo, call me when you can." He called me immediately.
See, if you were to go talk to that manager, I bet you that in the last 5 years, Jussie's never asked him to call him at that time like that. This is all going to be something that's totally off.
And while he was on the phone, I heard, as I was crossing the intersection, I heard Empire. And I don't answer to Empire.
Okay, right here. So you're out in the street the middle of the night. Jussie has obviously never probably ever done that. If he has, it's been very rare, But you're in the street by yourself in the middle of the night in Chicago, and somebody yells Empire at you, and you worked on a show called Empire. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you worked at Walmart and somebody down the street yells Walmart at you. You're going to turn around and acknowledge that, not only just because you want to know who else is out there at this time, but you might think, hey, this guy knows me from here, or but he knows me. He's acknowledging me. To say that you don't answer to that and you just walk away, I find that extremely not, hard to believe.
My name ain't Empire. And I didn't answer. I kept walking, and then I heard Empire. So I turned around and I said, "The did you just say to me?" And I see the attacker masked, and he said, "This MAGA country," punches me right in the face.
Okay, so now he's basically slandering anybody that voted for Donald Trump as a racist, and that's the whole point he's trying to get here. He wants to paint. See, if he could have got away with this, this is another piece of evidence that all these mega supporters are racists, and if you support them, you're a Nazi and you deserve to be violently attacked. You see, this is the narrative that Jussie's going for. This is why this is a violent crime, what he did here. This is what happens when you do fake hate hoaxes like this. You potentially manipulate people into committing acts of violence against the group that you're trying to villainize, which is what he's doing here. He's trying to villainize the MAGA community. This is disgusting stuff. Is why this guy should be in prison right now. If this was a white guy that was saying a black guy did this to him, and you'd want this guy to face 10 years, but because it's the opposite, then people, it's sick how he got away with this.
So I punched his ass back.
Okay, first of all, yeah, no, Jussie, you're not punching anybody back. I know I'm not trying to be rude here or anything, but 2 a.m. in Chicago, you got a couple guys coming to beat your ass. I'm not, Steven Seagal, but I might throw a couple punches, but I've been in actual fights. I've been jumped before. Jussie has not lived any sort of street life where I can picture him being in any sort of fights or anything like that. I find it really hard to believe that he would be fighting back. I think that maybe he'd be covering up, trying to run, which is understandable. I think that if you're outnumbered at night, don't get me wrong, I think your best bet is to try to get away from the situation, because especially if you're about to get jumped, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. You get knocked to the ground, you start getting kicked in the head, I mean, it's game over, right? So your best bet is actually to get out of there. But if you're forced to fight back, you got to fight back. But I mean, I can't picture Jussie, just deciding he's going to start fight. I can't picture that. I find that to be a bunch of BS.
And then we started tussling. It was very icy, and we ended up tussling by the stairs, fighting. There was a second person involved who was kicking me in my back, and then it just stopped, and they ran off.
It just stopped.
And I saw where they ran. And the phone was in my pocket, but it had fallen out, and it was sitting there, and my manager was still on the phone. So I picked up the phone and I said, "Brandon," and he's like, "What's going on?" And I said, "I was just jumped." And then I look down and I see that there's a rope around my neck, which I hadn't.
You hadn't noticed it before?
No,
you didn't
because
see?
It was so fast.
Okay, that is, we could sit here all day and say, oh, I did, or I didn't notice this. To have a noose put around your neck and not notice it being put on there, that's extremely fucking hard to believe, man. If you're in a fight, you're getting jumped, your senses are you're in fight or flight. Everything that's going on, you'll remember that probably for the rest of your fucking life, pretty much. Unless you got like kicked in the head or something like that, but you would probably notice, like 99% of the time. I can't imagine somebody putting something around your neck and not noticing that. I find that extremely hard to believe.
You know what I'm saying? It was so fast.
How long did this all
It felt like minutes, but it probably was like 30 seconds, honestly. I can't tell you, honestly. I noticed the rope around my neck, and I started screaming. And I said, "There's a rope around my neck."
Did you get any kind of description of the attack?
I gave a body description, and because I saw this, right here or whatever, but I didn't see, I can't tell you what color their eyes were.
Okay, so remember, he told the cops, that these were white people. And now we know it was two black people that he hired. But when he says, I saw this, I saw the eyes, he said that those were white people. So, there's another lie right there. Because if you saw that, you would know the difference.
Can't tell you. And I did not see anything except the second person I saw running away. And the first person, I saw his stature. I gave the description as best as I could. You have to understand also that it's Chicago in winter. People can wear ski masks and nobody's going to question that.
Pause. Okay, now why would you say something like that? Think about it for a second. It's Chicago. It's midnight or whatever time you said. You can wear it's winter. You can wear ski masks and nobody's going to question that. Now think about that for a second. That's something that a victim would not say, okay? You're giving your attackers an excuse to be hiding their identity. What he's actually doing is he's trying to legitimize his own story. And it's pretty absurd. You would never hear a victim would never start saying, "Oh, well, I got raped. It was 2 a.m. He was wearing a mask, but you know what? People can wear masks at 2 a.m. because it was cold." You don't hear it's absurd.
The police have gone through a lot of video, and they were able to capture an image of two people of interest. Have you seen that image?
Mm-hmm.
And Do you believe that they could possibly be the attackers?
I do.
What is it about their size, or why do you feel that they could possibly be?
Because I was there. For me, when that was released, I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. I don't have any doubt in my mind that that's them. Never did.
Why did you hesitate to want to call the police?
You know, there's a level of pride there.
Okay, he hesitated to want to call the police because he did not want details being looked at. He knew that potentially he could be implicated and caught if he called the police. He just wanted to be the victim. He didn't want it to be looked at too hard. He would have liked to have a few weeks to go by and then this come out in the news and he said, "Oh yeah, well, actor Jussie Smollett was jumped 3 weeks ago and he got a noose put around his neck, and he didn't want to tell the police though because he's such a strong character and he just wanted the victimhood status to get a raise, to get new jobs, to have the victimhood people feeling, oh, poor Jussie, and that's what he wanted. He didn't want all the scrutiny because he's not that bright of a guy. He has extreme narcissistic traits that he thought he could get away with this, but he's lived a life of Hollywood and he's never had to really have any consequences or have anyone question anything he says. He's always done what he wanted and he never expected any of this. He's not that bright of a guy because people that are actually smart would not. I mean, the plan is so, it's like a sixth grader wrote the plan. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. Everything about it is like out of a comedy. It's so stupid that it's almost like it's hard to even think that someone would think he could get away with this. But it just goes to show that Jussie is not a smart guy.
We live in a society where, as a gay man, you were considered somehow to be weak. And I'm not weak. I am not weak. And we are, as a people, are not weak. So, I can accept that there was pride there. There's also privacy. At the end of the day, look what has happened. Off. Look what has happened. So, I'm glad that Frank called the police. I'm glad that we reported it. During that time before they came, it took them about maybe half hour to come. And during that time, I was looking at myself, just like checking myself out. I saw the bruise on my neck,
Okay, this is not, if you ever got jumped, it's pretty unlikely you'd have a couple little cat scratches on your face, This is not what you'd look like. You get kicked in the face, you get punched, you'd have probably a black eye, your nose might be busted up a little bit. Couple little scratches like your cat scratched is not really the way it ends up.
Like the little the rope burn around my neck, and then I smelled bleach. I know the smell of bleach, and I saw on my sweatshirt it had marks on it, like spots on it when you have a bad bleach job. So
okay, this part is weird to me. Like, who knows? Just, I don't know, something about that just seems weird. Like, I know the smell of bleach, and I got a bad bleach job. I mean, this is just fucking retarded, Like, it just doesn't, this is dumb, okay? But keep this part in mind for later on, because there's something else he mentions later that is pretty nuts.
Then I was like, there's bleach on me, too. So when the police came, I kept the clothes on. I kept the rope.
So you had the rope on.
Okay, this is what I was talking about here. Okay, you get jumped in the middle of the street, in the middle of the night. You get jumped, you get your ass kicked, you get a noose put around your neck, you get chemicals thrown on you. Okay, you get home. What's the first fucking thing you do? You don't know what's been thrown on you. You could guess all day that it was bleach, but you don't fucking know if they've got some other sort of acid or something in there that could totally fuck your skin up or burn you. And you just fucking decide to keep the clothes on attached to your skin. Anything that these people have dumped on you could just seep into your system, burn you, fuck you up. Whatever type of chemicals they just poured on you. And instead of taking a shower, getting these clothes off, immediately you're sitting there in your house for a half an hour with the clothes on, with a fucking noose around your neck. Okay, think about that for a second. If you're in his spot, I don't think anybody in human history would ever just fucking leave that on, but okay.
On the entire
I mean, it
time.
wasn't like wrapped around, but yeah, it was around because I wanted them to see.
It wasn't like wrapped around, but yeah, it was wrapped around. Okay, there we go.
Wanted them to see what this was. I told them what happened.
I wanted them to see what this was. Okay, so if you're a victim of a crime, why do you have to prove it to anybody? That should be the last thing in your mind. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. You don't have to prove it. It happened. You have to report it. The fact that you think you have to prove that you were attacked in this manner just goes to show his just moronic nature. You don't, it's so obvious that now that he's lying, because why would you have to prove it to anybody? You think someone's not going to believe you? I mean, it's absurd.
Everything. I also asked them to turn their body cams off because they were trying to stay in the hallway. And I was like, please just come in. Like, I don't want a big scene with my neighbors and with like the second round of police officers.
Turn the body cams off. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I want the body cams off. Yeah, let's just hide as much of the evidence and proof as we can here.
I went down to where it happened and I walked them through exactly what happened. And I looked up and I saw that there was a camera directly on the light post that is in the intersection. So I'm like, there it is.
A potential break in the case that would eventually fall apart days later.
And then the detective told me that the camera inside of the casing was facing north, so they didn't have it. And that was disappointing.
The vast majority of people have been supportive and loving and understanding. And then as time has gone on, and that there's no, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, you're going to Subway, Sub-Zero.
Subway is open 24 hours. Like, people kill me when they say things like that, because it's like Subway is open 24 hours for a reason. So that when you're hungry at night and you ain't got no food, you go to Subway.
I love how he gets all ghetto there. Subway is open 24 hours for a reason.
The camera facing north, how is that my issue? It feels like...
And let me just say one thing, okay? People can argue this point all day. Rich fucking people like this do not fucking order from do not walk out and go over to Subway. I know we could sit here all day and somebody could argue, oh yes they do, blah blah blah. Dude, when you're this rich, you can hire room service. Uber Eats. There's a million. Have someone else go get something for you. Subway is fucking garbage. People that like this don't eat fucking Subway. You could sit there and say yes, blah blah blah, but it's extremely fucking rare that someone of this is a millionaire here. This guy can have the best food. You know what I mean? To say that he has to go out to Subway on a walk by himself at 2 a.m. is so absurd. Most people think, oh, well, it could be, they're humans too, which of course they are, but come on, man. This guy is staying in the best of shape. Subway's not really too good for you. There's so much chemicals in the bread, and Jussie doesn't look like the type that's...
If I had said it was a Muslim or a Mexican or someone black, I feel like the doubters would have supported me a lot much more.
Okay, here we go. Now he's playing the race card. He's trying to make anybody that questions him is racist. This is what he's going for here.
A lot more. And that says a lot about the place that we are in our country right now. The fact that we have these fear mongers.
Not a word.
These people that are trying to separate us, and it's just not okay. Mm-hmm. It's just not okay. And for all of the people, the next time that you see someone report something, maybe well after the fact that it happened, and you say to them, well, why you wait until now? Just remember that mine was reported right away.
Wrong. He waited half an hour and thought about it before he reported it. It wasn't reported right away.
And look what has happened.
The phone.
Mm-hmm.
When did you...
This part is some of the most damning evidence in my opinion.
Because as you said, it was an accurate account of the timeline, valuable information. When did you make that information available to the police?
We had to give the phone records, which they didn't originally ask for my phone records. They asked for my phone.
Oh, they wanted my phone. Okay, so think about this for a second. You just got jumped. People are out there that they could possibly hurt somebody else. Racial attack, dumping chemicals, trying to, in his opinion, lynch him, put a noose around his neck. And instead of protecting other people from the same type of attack from these people, he's more worried about giving the police officer whose job it is to retrieve evidence from people's phones. He's more worried about that guy looking through his phone for his or his private songs. I mean, think of how ludicrous this is. This is just stupid. This is crazy.
They wanted me to give my phone to the tech for 3 to 4 hours. I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna do that.
Why?
Because I have...
See, at this point you can tell she's obviously knows right from the start this is bullshit. I mean, she has to put up this face because, you know, it's the whole far left narrative and the victimhood, and she has to act like she believes it. But at this point you can tell that she's like, this is so stupid that you're not even going to give him your phone to fucking help get this dangerous criminal off the street from hurting somebody else.
Private pictures and videos and numbers. My partner's number, my family's number, my castmates' number, my friends' numbers, my private emails, my private songs, my private voice memos. I don't know what that's going to be to hand over my phone.
Okay, the person that the tech, the police detective tech that goes through people's phones to gather information, the odds that they would be in there trying to steal your personal information. First of all, Jussie, you're not fucking Brad Pitt. You know, you're a Z-list fucking guy. Nobody knew you. Like 99% of people had no fucking clue who you were before this. You're fucking you on what's Alien. You had 2 lines on that fucking Alien movie. You're the stupid what's it called? Empire show. Like 99% of people don't watch that show. I mean, the fact that he thinks that this tech guy, that's his inflated ego, that he thinks that he could even say this, even though this is a lie and he doesn't believe this, he's just saying this as an excuse. His inflated ego that someone would be that interested in him. I mean, come on, dude. That they would want to go through your songs, your songs. Nobody cares about your fucking songs. Like I heard somebody made a good joke about it. Like, we have your public songs and we don't care for those, so why are we looking for your private songs? I mean, it's a joke, big time.
And honestly, by then, inaccurate, false statements had already been put out there.
Okay, so how is that possible that now inaccurate statements have been put out there? I mean, this is like an hour into the investigation. He already knows somehow that inaccurate statements have been put out there. I mean, come on, man.
Earlier this week, he submitted phone records from within an hour of the incident. But Chicago police said they were limited and heavily redacted, adding they need additional information to corroborate the investigative timeline. His attorneys tell us they are willing to cooperate. Smollett also says he has been troubled by inaccurate claims. What other ones had you heard that were inaccurate?
That I had said that they were wearing MAGA hats. I never said that. I didn't need to add any.
Pause. He did actually say that. He said to the reporters that they were wearing red hats, and or sorry, to the police when he originally was caught. He said they were wearing red hats, and in the video of the 2 people walking down the street, they only showed that grainy video before, but they actually had different tape that they never showed Jussie of the 2 guys that had a clear shot of them, and they were wearing actual red MAGA hats in that video. So he's lying right here. He did at some point say to the investigators that they were wearing red hats because he wanted the whole MAGA. He wanted it to be a MAGA thing, you know. This is MAGA. This is the racist. Anyone that supports Trump is a racist, and you know that was the whole narrative here that he wanted to push.
Anything like that. They called me a...
He had to walk it back though, because once he started to be questioned about this, he realized that how absurd it was. It was so. Saturday Night Live did a good skit about how every little piece was it was like a child wrote it. It was so ludicrous. So he had to start walking it back and saying, "Oh, I didn't say anything about MAGA hats," and it was just so obviously fake that he had to start walking some of the stuff back. That's why he's saying this right now.
They called me
So here he is right now. He's getting frustrated with the reporter. He's starting to use the victimhood race card again here. He's saying, look, they called me this. You don't get to question anything that I say about this situation. Do you understand me? Or you're a bigot. That's what he's trying to do with this forceful part right here.
There's no which way you cut it. I don't need some MAGA hat as the cherry on top of some racist sundae. I've heard that it was a date gone bad.
A date gone
which I
bad.
so resent.
I heard people talking about this narrative, and this was just dumb. I mean, come on. The guy fake staged it. It was a fake hate crime. It had nothing to do with this part. I heard actual people saying this, and this was a dumb fucking narrative.
That narrative. I'm not gonna go out and get a tuna sandwich at a salad to meet somebody. That's ridiculous. And it's offensive. Yes, there's Grindr. Yes, there's Jacked. Yes, there's all of these things, which I have not been on in years.
You can imagine Jussie the narcissist, how much he's on these fucking disgusting sites too.
Admit that I was on that back in the day. I was single. You know what I'm saying? But I have not been on that in years. But aside from that,
this is bad acting.
It's offensive. And I absolutely resent that narrative because it's bull. It's bull. And it's unfair. It's unfair to the investigation. It's unfair to, I hate this word, but it's unfair to the victim.
What were your...
Here he's going to start going on with victimhood politics again.
Your injuries, what were they?
They did x-rays. I didn't have, it was reported that I had like fractured
a little scratch on your face.
Cracked ribs or something like that.
Now look at this. These are two 250-pound black dudes. Huge muscles. Looking like they're straight from the movie Black Panther from Wakanda. And you got a little fucking scratch on your face. Like that's something like a I don't know, like a cat or like a... That's not what happens to you in a fight, man. Have you ever been jumped? You ever been in a fight? You're gonna have punches, you know, like fists, kicks. You get hit with something, not a fucking scratch. You know, grown men aren't scratching your face when you're getting jumped. That's not how it works, Jussie. You would know that if you weren't a little fucking pussy that grew up in Hollywood since you were 6 years old.
That wasn't true. I was just in a lot of pain. You know, my clavicle was messed up, my rib was bruised, but nothing was cracked. Like I walked into the hospital. I walked out of the hospital.
Why do you think you were targeted?
I can just assume, I mean, I come really, really hard against 45. I come really, really hard against his administration.
Okay, so people looked into this, and he had one post. He didn't come really, really hard against Donald Trump. I don't know why he calls him 45, but he never. And they looked at all of his past social media, and he had one single post that was slightly against Trump or something. He was not some outspoken activist against Trump or anything like that. He was. So this is all a lie right here.
And I don't hold my tongue.
I want to ask you about Jussie Smollett.
I think that's horrible. It doesn't get worse, as far as I'm concerned.
Were you aware that
Trump at this point probably knew it was bullshit, but he had to. I mean, you can't say that. You can't say that it's bullshit because the fake news media would slander him as racist if he did. But he did the right thing, and he said, you know, like the right thing is, yeah, it was a horrible. Because if it was a real thing, I mean, right now he still has to have the potential chance that it could be real. So yeah, it would be if it was real, it was absolutely horrible. So Trump does the right thing there.
that he made that statement?
I saw it. I don't know what to say to that. You know? I appreciate him not brushing over it.
And there is no doubt in your mind what motivated this attack.
I could only go off of their words. I mean, who says empire?
Nobody.
This MAGA country?
Nobody.
Ties a noose around your neck and pours bleach on you?
Nobody.
And this is just a friendly fight? I will never be
friendly fight.
Like the man that this did not happen to.
Yes, you will.
I am forever changed.
No, you're not.
And I don't subscribe to the idea that everything happens for a reason, but I do subscribe to the idea that we have the right and the responsibility to make something meaningful out of the things that happen to us, good and bad.
What do you feel people need to hear the most from this story?
I think that what people need to hear is just the truth.
This is where Jussie wants to get his his Oscar right here. He really wants to push the victim narrative. He wants to be, he wants to he wants to be looked upon as the victim. We're all, poor, that's Jussie. He's the one that got jumped and the noose put around his neck. He's a good guy. Let's give him a job. This is what he wants right here with all this.
It's just the truth, because everybody has their own idea. Some are healing and some are hurtful.
No, it's hurtful. If you question it, it's hurtful. See, he's putting that out there again.
But
you're a racist if you don't think this is true.
I just want young people, young members of the LGBTQ community, young black children to know how strong that they are, to know the power that they hold in their little pinky.
It's been 2 weeks since that night left actor Jussie Smollett bruised but not broken, and he's still processing the raw emotions. Have you ever been threatened before?
Yeah. I get threatened all the time on Twitter and Instagram and DMs and things.
This I don't disagree with, because if you're in any sort of public eye, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You are going to be threatened. So this I do believe. A lot of it's just internet trolls and stuff, but yeah, there's no doubt that he would be at some points definitely threatened by people, because there's a lot of weird psychos out there on the internet, and yeah, there's no doubt that this is likely true. Probably not to the degree
like that.
Probably not to the degree that he mentions, but I can actually believe this.
It's like, but I'm a public figure. I'm very outspoken. Sometimes maybe too outspoken, but it's who I am. So I get the idea of pissing people off, that you're going to rub people the wrong way.
In fact, the week before the attack, police confirm a letter was sent to the Fox studio in Chicago with threatening language and laced with powdery substance, likely Tylenol. Do you think there's a link?
Okay, so let's go back to, now this is the other piece of evidence here. So a week before the event, a week before he got jumped, he had received a death threat in the mail. Literal death threat, saying you're going to be hung, you're going to get shot, whatever the picture shows. Okay, so think about that. Just picture yourself, you open your mail one day, and somebody's telling you that they're going to fucking kill you. Okay, so how long before you feel comfortable going out for a walk at 2 a.m. after you receive that note? That's an honest question to you. Think about that for a second. Just think about that for a second. To me, I think that it would take maybe at least a year or two for me to feel like I'm not looking over my shoulder, and I want to avoid those types of situations. So before it blows over, before I start to feel comfortable, maybe at least a month or two, at least 6 months to a year, where you're like, okay, maybe that was just BS and I can let that go. But this guy is the next week, he's outside at 2 a.m. in the morning because he's so desperate for a Subway sandwich. Okay.
Between the letter.
And I know we're beyond that. It's obvious he did it. He's caught. There's no point in trying to, I know that but I'm trying to point out the absurdities in this story.
And the attack. And you did mention it to the police right away about the letter.
Absolutely. Just because on the letter it had a stick figure hanging from a tree with a gun pointing towards it, with the words that said, "Smollett Jussie, you will die, black." There was no address, but the return address said in big red, like caps, MAGA. Did I make that up too?
Yes.
And despite lack of video surveillance footage, Smollett hopes to rewrite the narrative about that night, saying he fought back against his attackers and reported the incident after his creative director called 911.
Okay, take a look at this right here.
And reported the incident after his creative director.
I saw Joe Budden was talking about this on his radio show. Joe Budden, if you're familiar with him, but he made a great point about this grainy video they put out here. This looks like two black dudes right here. Okay, you could say whatever you want to say, racism, blah blah blah. Joe Budden made a great point that this look to me, and it's a great point. This looks like two black dudes right here. Just the clothing, the makeup, just this right here for sure. This guy kind of, but this definitely with the baggy pants,
They're called 911.
He's supposed to be well known, requesting a report, and so the noose was placed over the friend's neck.
I want that video found so badly because.
And that's not to say obviously that white dudes don't wear baggy clothes too. That's not my point, but when they actually released a video of those guys walking, and it did just the swagger look like black dudes as opposed to white dudes. So I agree with Joe Budden on that. I think he made a good point.
For probably 4 reasons.
In which, of course, they did turn out to be black. They turned out to be the Wakanda brothers that Jussie hired for this for $2,500, which is absurd. To give somebody only $2,500 for something like this, where they're risking their freedom for the rest of their life. I mean, $2,500 is fucking nothing.
Number 1, I want them to find the people that did it. Number 2, I want them to stop being able to say alleged attack. Number 3, I want them to see that I fought back.
Okay, he wants people to have no right to question his story, is basically what he's saying. Because he wants them to be slammed as racist if they question his story.
And I want
Look at all these victimhood badges. You have to earn these, you know. You have to earn these victimhood badges. These don't just come, you know, they don't come for free.
a little gay boy who might watch this to see that I fought back. And it does not take anything away from people that are not able to do that. But I fought back. They ran off. I didn't.
What do you say to a young gay man, a young gay person?
To learn to fight. And I don't just mean like learn to fight. I mean,
Okay, I find it very hard to believe that Jussie knows how to fight.
learn to fight. Learn to be a fighter. I am not advocating violence at all. So let's be clear about that. If you're gonna die, fight until
You know, this is so disrespectful to people that have actually been in fights and had their asses kicked and had to try to fight back and got beat up. And this fucking scumbag comes on here like he's fucking Steven Seagal at 2 in the morning. Steven Seagal at 2 in the morning just fucking getting jumped and fighting people and kicking people's asses and having them run off. This is so disrespectful to people that have actually been victims of fucking violent crimes. This is so fucking disrespectful. He's up here trying to be this hero that's this tough guy, and it's so fucking disrespectful, man.
you do. Because if you don't fight, you have no chance. I have fought for love. I'm an advocate. I respect too
Fought for love. What the fuck was that little cutout there? I have fought for love.
much the people who I am now one of those people
No,
who
you're
have
not.
been attacked in any way. You do such a disservice when you lie about things like this.
If the
Yeah, you really do, Jussie. You really fucking do, you scumbag.
attackers are never found, how will you be able to heal?
I don't know. Let's just hope that they are. You know what I'm saying?
This is where he really goes into overdrive and his fake bullshit acting.
Like, let's not go there yet.
Tears
Let's
flowing.
I was talking to a friend, and I said, I just want them to find them.
See, he doesn't. You have to remember, at this point, he definitely does not want them to be found. He knows they, and in his mind, he knows they will not be found because what they are doesn't even exist in his mind. He knows it's a fake thing, so he knows they will not be found, so he can go on with the story, right?
And she said, sweetie, they're not gonna find them. And that just made me so angry because, so I'm just gonna be left here with this? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just gonna be left here with like, so they get to go free and go about their life and possibly attack someone else, and I'm here left with the aftermath of this bull. That's not cool to me. That's not okay. So I understand how
Turns the tears
difficult
off.
it will be to find them, but I still want to believe with everything that has happened that there's something called justice. Because if I stop believing that, then what's it all for?
There is no justice, Jussie. If there was, you'd be in fucking prison. You're a scumbag. If you are watching this, and I hope you are, I know you're a fucking narcissist, so you probably fucking search all this stuff. If you are watching this, you are a fucking piece of garbage, man. You're just the worst. People out there that legitimately get attacked and raped and beat up, and there's fucking scumbags like you that want to try to make some extra couple million off of it. You're just, it's so fucking disgusting, man. And I want you to look at this from this perspective. Picture back in the 20s or whatever you want to say, 1900s, whenever racism was really horrible in America. Picture when they used to have white women that would say that a black man raped her, and that man would be beaten and hung, killed, tortured because of people like you, Jussie, that lie like this. You're no different than that. You're no fucking different. Um, it's disgusting, man. You could have, if you would have got away with this, how the white people that would have been beaten, all the people that just want to wear a MAGA hat because they support Trump because they're tired of the corruption from Hillary and these fucking monsters, and there's people like you that want to cause race wars, that these innocent people get their asses kicked. Whenever you see somebody get jumped for wearing a MAGA hat, or it's because of people like you, that cause this fucking bullshit. And yeah, you should be ashamed. You don't have any feelings. Obviously, you're a fucking monster, but man, your career is fucking over. You're scum. You belong in prison, man. You're a fucking scumbag. Anyways, I hope everybody liked the video. I've always wanted to do a review of this video because I find it pretty funny of all the lies that he does, and I thought it'd be a fun video to break down. So hopefully you like some of my points that I found about the video, and yeah, feel free to comment in the comment section if you have any other things that you pointed out. So all right, have a good one, everybody. Thanks for watching, and fuck you, Jussie.